Alrighty, guys, we're back. This is DJ Aurelius, and that was Can You Feel It by the Jacksons. Now, we're going to start off with some new releases. Hot Toys this week announced Doc Ock from Spider-Man No Way Home. Now, looking at this figure, it's actually pretty good. I mean, of course, that's coming from Hot Toys, one of the most expensive lines out there. This figure is going to run you about $344.99 plus tax, of course. Now, there's been a lot of controversy about this figure. For one, the sweater that's on him, right, because he has a sweater and then the two coats on top of that, is gray, whereas in the movie, we see it black. And then there's some debate about his tentacles. Right now, Hot Toys does give us two types of tentacles. They give us the regular ones from the ones we see like in Spider-Man 2. And, spoilers, but not really. If you haven't seen Spider-Man No Way Home yet, he absorbs part of Peter's suit, which is the iron spider suit. And his tentacles become slightly enhanced. And we do see that option to make the tentacles that way. The only thing, though, is that these tentacles are more like, it's like a metal wire inserted through rubber. So yes, they do look good, they do look lifelike, but over time, like that, if you want a Doc Ock to stand just with two of his tentacles down and then the other two up, like he does most of the time, he probably won't be able to do that unless he has a stand, because he's literally just standing on two thin metal bendable rods. One thing that he does come with, though, is to insert in the tentacles at the end of him is the spike that he uses in the movie Spider-Man No Way Home and in Spider-Man 2, the Tobey Maguire one. And the biggest controversy with this figure is the head sculpt. Yeah, that face is not too pretty. Yeah, it does look like Alfred Molina, which is the actor who plays Doc Ock. From certain angles, yes, and especially with the glasses on. That's definitely the way to pose this figure and the way to go. However, without it, the resemblance just is not there. It's slightly there, but something about the head shape and definitely the hair is off. The hair's more, it looks more like the way he had in Spider-Man 2, but definitely not the way he had in Spider-Man No Way Home. It's more like a bowl cut, like how you imagine a regular Doc Ock from the comics to be, but definitely not how he looked in the movie Spider-Man No Way Home. In Spider-Man No Way Home, his hair is more fluffy and a bit up. Right here, it's just down. And you can see for yourself if you just search up, Hot Toys, Spider-Man No Way Home, Doc Ock. It's a 1/6 scale, again, because this is Hot Toys. And lots of people in the community have compared it to the third-party Toys era 1/6 scale Doc Ock. Now, of course, they're not allowed to call it Doc Ock because it's a third party and they don't have the rights to that name, so they just call it the Ock. Now, this figure is phenomenal. Now, yes, Hot Toys does supply you with, a good body and appropriate clothing, minus the sweater. But the Toys Era one just looks like better, in my opinion. The head sculpt is clearer to see Alfred Molina, especially in Spider-Man 2 when he's like angry. And the biggest selling point for this figure is the arms, the tentacle arms, because they're all metal and they're like individual joints that you can adjust. So when you pose him around, he really does look like he did in Spider-Man 2. And it's based off that figure, not the one in Spider-Man No Way Home. We know this by the the money bags that he comes with when he's robbing the bank in Spider-Man 2. And by his little hat that he has, that he used as a disguise to get into the bank. Other releases we have is Marvel Legends. Hasbro came out with One, two, three, four, five, like 6 releases, if I'm not mistaken. One of them is the X-Men Marvel Legends Wolverine part, and this is for the Bonebreaker Build-A-Figure. Who is Bonebreaker? He is a character. I'm not 100% sure, but he looks pretty cool. He's like half a tank, half human, like a literal tank. So he looks pretty cool. But this Wolverine is pretty much your standard Marvel Legends Wolverine. He comes with a fantastic head sculpt, both with the cowl and without. Like, this head sculpt without the cowl is leagues better than anything else Hasbro has produced so far. And he comes with like heated up claws, so that they look like they've been heated, like have been on fire. I don't know if you guys have done blacksmith in the past or have done anything like that, welding, but you know, when it gets hot, when it starts to melt, it gets like really, I guess, glowy and liquidy. And that's kind of what this looks like, just to give you an idea. And I'm not too sure what suit Wolverine has on right now. It does look similar to the standard Jim Lee Wolverine, which is the yellow and the blue, but he has black shoulder pads, and the stripes are blue, and he has like another stripe going across his, not across his chest, but like from his pectoral vertical up to his shoulder. Pardon the explanation, but yeah. Okay, so next up we have Marvel's Siren. Again, another X-Men. I'm not too familiar with Siren, but one thing I will note is that she comes with a soft good, which is, you know, a piece of fabric or any soft accessory that comes with figures. She has what appears to be like a cape that just, it's not really a cape though. It's like, I guess like a poncho, but it only covers her arms and it goes through the butt behind her. So maybe that has to do with her power. Again, I'm not too familiar with the character, but I will say it does look like a pretty solid figure. And next up we have Marvel's Havoc. I'm not too familiar with this character as well. He looks like a villain, but I'm pretty sure he's a hero. He actually looks pretty cool. His head, or like his head sculpt, I should say, it has like this weird crown, and it looks like it's just like wrapping over his forehead, but it's also floating, which like it's a cool effect that they did here. And he comes with a lot of effect pieces. He comes with like all these circles, almost like, imagine like Doctor Strange. The way he does his like magic, and you know, he performs those little circles with his hands. It's kind of like that, but just like blue pure circles. And he has great details on this chest. There's not too much paint on this guy, but it's mainly just a solid black body. But on his chest is like another one of those circles, and it the way it's painted, it looks like it's glowing. So that's pretty cool. Hopefully it does look like it's glowing in hand, right? And next up we have Maggot. Marvel Legends Maggot, X-Men. Again, I'm not familiar with this character. I'm sorry, you X-Men fans. Maybe you guys know what I'm talking about. I, for one, just don't know these characters. However, I'm pretty sure if you recognize the name, you're going to love these characters, like these figures of these characters. Now, Maggot is the one that stands out to me the most because he has these broad shoulder pads, right? And then he has his blue skin. He has a trench coat that's blue, and it's textured really nicely. And there's like lots of color to this guy. And he has like a white wife beater. I think that's what they're called, right? Such a weird name for a muscle shirt. Okay, a white muscle shirt. Like a dark blue belt, and then red, or like more like maroon pants, and like knee pads, and then dark blue boots. And the paint just looks amazing on this guy. And his accessories are 2 maggots. I guess that's why he's called Maggot, huh? And one of them can go over his shoulder, the other can like wrap around his arm. Honestly, it looks pretty cool. The only thing I will note though is that he only comes with the open palmed hands. And me personally, when I get a figure, I like him to have fisted hands because there's just so many more poses you can get with fists than you can with just open palm hands. And that's why it's just better to have, fisted hands and a pair of open palm hands, but apparently it wasn't in the budget for Hasbro. So that's fine. Well, guys, we're going to go back to some music. Going to hit you with Keep It Comin' Love by Casey and the Sunshine Band. All right, guys, we are back. This is Figures and Funk with DJ Aurelius. And you just listened to Shining Star by Earth, Wind & Fire and Keep It Comin' Love by Casey and the Sunshine Band. So, some more releases that we have are, again, continuing the Marvel Legends releases. We have the X-Men Marvel Legends Darwin. Don't ask me who this guy is, because I'm not too sure. I'm not too familiar with these characters. I apologize. But he looks like an alien. He has an alien-shaped head. His skin is like I guess white, like complected, like a normal human skin. And then he has the costume. He looks kind of freaky, not gonna lie. Like when I first saw this guy, I thought he was a bit scary. And he comes with fisted hands. Remember, like I said, fisted hands is always great to come with the figure. And he comes with like these, it looks like, I guess, martial arts hands. He looks like he's preparing to fight. So I really like those hands. The details on those look pretty nice. And he comes with the tank, which is part of the Build-A-Figure. That's what makes this part of the wave, the Build-A-Figure Bonebreaker wave. And then we have Sabretooth. Now this is a character that I am familiar with. X-Men Sabretooth. He is the brother of Wolverine. He has sharp claws and sharp teeth. Almost primal, and based off what I know from the X-Men movies back in the early 2000s, he's a beast. Now, he doesn't really come with accessories for himself. He just comes with, him the way he is and accessories for the Bonebreaker. Now, if I'm confusing y'all, let me just break it down. So, all these figures that I'm listing are part of a wave, right? They're all released like in the same set, and they're all of them, when you buy every single one, like, you can make a character. In this case, it's the Bonebreaker, which is a mutant who's half tank from the bottom down and I guess human from the upper torso. Imagine a centaur, but instead of the horse, it's like it's a tank, literally a tank. And yeah, each one of these figures that comes in the line comes with accessories and parts to build that figure. That's why it's called a Build-A-Figure wave. So going back to the Sabretooth, he definitely has like that comic look. He has the white fur around his collarbone. He has like white gauntlets. He has white, what are they called? I guess like leg straps. I'm not too familiar. And he has like the yellow suit with some black in there. It looks really nice. I will say though that he does look a bit off in the neck area because his neck just looks non-existent. His head's way too big for the body that he's on. And the fact that since his scarf is like fur and like from his clavicle to his neck is just painted black, it looks like his head's just floating there. And to me, it looks off. Definitely looks like just a lollipop. And yeah, the head sculpt is good. I will say that. The hair and the paint is there. You can see definitely the teeth and the growl type look is there. But the way it's put on the figure just looks bad, in my opinion. Next up, we have X-Men Marvel Legends Volcan. And I'm not familiar with this character, but right off the bat, he looks cool. Like, I love his costume. He has golden boots. He has red, not jeans, but like red leggings. And then he has the X-Men belt, classic X-Men belt. And his upper part is mixed with like blue and red. And his eyes are like glowing yellow. And it's rumored that this figure, or rather this body for Volcan, is going to be the new base body. Now, what I mean by the base body is all these figures, they're not all unique, right? Lots of them are just made from the same mold, same body as previous figures. And so when we look at them, we see that it's just the same body, just repainted and reused. Now, this isn't always bad, but it's something that you can live with, because based off the character you get and the body that's chosen to be used with that character, we see that it's like it works with each character. I'm sorry. And for Volcan especially, since this is his body technically, it works great, and I really like the way it looks. Now, stepping aside from Marvel, that was all the Marvel releases we had. We're going to look at some Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Now, if you're not familiar with that movie, it came out, I want to say in the late 90s or early 2000s. I can't remember, but I know I saw it when I was a kid. And there's a little minifigure release with these. It's by Super 7. I'm not too familiar with that company, but the figures that are made look pretty good. We have the Stupid Weasel figure, which is, I mean, that's what he's called, okay? And he's like the henchman, the one, the more goofy looking one. I don't know if you guys remember from the film or not. He has like one of those spinny top hats and a shirt that's really tiny for his body, and he has a big gut, and his neck's super long, and he has a buck tooth. He's a weasel, and the articulation on these figures is going to be limited, but they're not so much for an articulation. They're more for just having the character and just putting it up on the shelf, making it look good. It's definitely reminiscent of those old school figures from the 80s. It's like a retro wave. So again, the articulation isn't there, but the sculpt and paint is there. And his little accessory is a bat with a nail. I guess nailed through it, hammered through it. And then along with him, we also have the Smarty Weasel figure, which is, I guess, his partner, if I remember correctly from the film. And he's the one who looks like a typical 1960s gangster. He has that suit on. It's pink. I could have sworn I remembered it being black, but maybe I'm just getting it mixed up with another character. Pink suit, pink tie, and pink hat. And he comes with a plunger. Looks pretty sweet. After that, we have Judge Doom, the main villain of the Who Framed Roger Rabbit film. And he looks great. He looks just exactly like he did in the film, except a more shrunk down, plasticky version. Now, the accessory he comes with, I'm a little confused on. I'm not too sure. It looks like a glove, but I don't see it fitting his hand. If you remember from the film, please let me know, but I'm not too sure what the accessory is or how to use it or what to do with it on the figure. Next up is, of course, Jessica Rabbit. Everyone went crazy for Jessica Rabbit in the film. And, I mean, you guys know Jessica Rabbit. Her proportions are really exaggerated. And she's wearing the red dress, classic red dress, and those long purple gloves. She's got the red hair, the makeup on. And I really like her accessory. It's a frying pan but if you look at the frying pan, you can see the outline of Roger Rabbit's face when she hits him with the frying pan for making goo-goo eyes at her. So that's fun. I like that one. And of course, lastly, we have the man himself, Roger Rabbit. for him being the main character, he frankly looks a bit simple. Like, yes, you could tell it's Roger Rabbit. Paint is great. But however, he just comes with handcuffs. Now, I assume the handcuffs are to, detain Judge Doom. But it's just really simple, and I would really prefer if he came with, like, a hammer or something more significant in the film that has to do with Roger Rabbit. More releases we have are the Superman, the Mechanical Monsters from Mezco Toys. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with this, it's the Mechanical Monsters film is from 1941 from the Superman Fleischer films. Now, of course, those are back in the 1940s. I'm not too sure how many of you guys are that old, but if you're like me, you're growing up, your mom probably saw them at Walmart in the DVD bin for $5, and she bought it and sat you down by the TV and you watched it. So that's how I got to know this version of Superman. And it's honestly like one of my favorite versions of Superman because the animation for that back then was honestly really good and probably rivals what's produced today. But for this set by Mezco, it comes with 3 backgrounds. So you can have where they're in the theater, where he's breaking into like a room. I think it's like a closet, and where they go underneath into the cave. Now, again, this is a very specific release to that episode or that film. So if you haven't seen it yet, I really recommend you go watch it. I believe it's up on YouTube. Just again, Superman 1941 Mechanical Monsters. And along with this, it comes with a telephone booth. Now you get Clark Kent, and then you close it, and then you can switch it out for Superman, like he's transforming like he did in those early days, which is really fun. I love that detail. Yeah, and he comes with, of course, a robot. This robot looks really good. The paint is clean. It has like a matte finish. You can tell the head can rotate like it did in the film. It's like it spins like a chainsaw almost, and the arms are really good articulated. The legs are less so, but with the robot, the way it's built is like the classic, square rectangle robot. So whatever pose you want is what you're gonna get. Like you're just gonna recreate scenes from the film. And you can definitely do that. And he comes with like an alternate head, which has like flame effects coming out, which I really like. I do remember that significantly from that film. And of course, he comes with the Clark Kent, Superman's Clark Kent. That's his secret identity, if you didn't know. And, oh man, Lois Lane. How could I forget Lois Lane? And of course, they do look like they did in the 1940s. And this is just a really great release. It's like a deluxe box set. You can post Superman carrying Lois Lane, like when he's flying away. The robot actually has a secret compartment where you can put Lois, like he captured her. And he also comes with a different set of arms to again replicate that spinning like blade type of look. And it's $80. So that's fun. I'm actually going to get back into some music, starting with Got to Be Real by Cheryl Lynn. Alrighty, guys, we are back, and that was Wanna Be Starting Something by Michael Jackson, and Cheryl Lynn's, what's it called? It was Gotta Be Real by Cheryl Lynn, one of my favorite songs. So, we're back, and I gave you some of the new releases that are out. Now it's time for Figure of the Week. Now, this week's figure is none other than Batman Beyond by McFarlane, DC McFarlane Multiverse. This figure stands 7 inches, and if you're not familiar with Batman Beyond, it is a version of Batman that I believe was a cartoon at first, or it was a comic line made into a cartoon. I guess that's where it got its popularity, and it's from the late '90s. First episode date was 1999, and it ran for about 3 seasons, 52 episodes. I personally didn't grow up on this. However, I did watch it a little bit after on reruns, and it's a really good show. It got me hooked. The story of Batman Beyond follows Terry McGinnis. I know, shocker, for those of you who aren't aware, because, Batman is typically Bruce Wayne. However, Batman Beyond takes place in the future. I'm not too sure what year, but it's in the future, and instead of Bruce Wayne, he becomes old, and Terry McGinnis takes over as the new Batman. So with that, we have this figure, again, 7 inches tall, by McFarlane Toys. I really like the matte finish that he has. It's just solid black. You really get a good head sculpt. It looks exactly like it did in the show. The bat symbol on his chest is a nice red. It's a little bit shiny, but it goes with it. It complements the matte finish well. The belt is great. I like the silver paint on the latches that are on it. And his gauntlets, or his wrists, I should say, have those spikes, those classic Batman spikes. And he comes with 2 sets of hands, one normal hand, and then one it's more like a claw hand, because this version of Batman has claws. And the normal hands are meant to be used for his Batarang. He comes with one. I will say, though, it's not accurate to this version of Batman. I'm not too sure why McFarlane Toys gave us this Batarang, but it works. His hand can hold it. He comes with a stand, which is actually pretty cool. It's an actual stand that you can have him posed in the air, not just your typical McFarlane stand, which you just peg him into a circular base. You can actually have him flying, and that's another thing we're going to discuss right now, his wings. He comes with the red wings. They're not detachable, but they do look good on this figure, and they're a bit like lighter plastic. His wrists actually come with an extra little spike. It's a little peg to peg into the wings so they can be attached to his arms. So as his arms go up, it opens up with the wings. Now, moving on to articulation, his arms can go full all the way around, which means, you could swing your arm like you would. Laterally, it can go right above his head. So remember, again, for the laterals, it's like you're flapping your wings. Like pretend you're a bird and you're flapping your wings. Yeah, he can do that. His arm goes above his head. Or I guess his hand reaches above his head. He has double jointed elbows, which means when you flex, you can make his forearm touch his bicep, which is really nice. It looks very clean. He has a wrist swivel and joint. It's not a ball. Oh, it is a ball joint. It can go left, right, up, down, hinge. His torso. This is the thing I really like about McFarlane Toys torsos. They go forward a lot, so you can really have them crunch down, and they go back pretty well as well. So you can definitely crunch, and you can pop open his chest. Unfortunately, on this figure, he can pop open his chest more than he can crouch. So to go forward is a little bit limited, but to go back is better. And that's for the bottom torso movement. For the top, he can lean left and right. And then for his legs, he can kick forward to about 90 degrees, a typical kick. He has double jointed knees, which means he can bend down, and when he does so, the back of his foot can touch his behind. And then we have ball jointed feet, which means he can move his ankle up and down a good amount, and of course turn it left and right. And this is good for when you want to have him standing or again crouching. The figure will stand, and of course he has a toe hinge. One thing I will say about this figure, though, is that his legs have a different finish than the upper torso area. So, like I said, the upper torso area is more matte, and the bottom, or like his legs, I guess his thighs really, are shiny, and they kind of throw off the aesthetic a little bit, but it's still passable in the right light. And if you don't handle them too much, you won't really notice it because, I mean, of course, our hands have oils and grease, and they get onto the figure. But again, this is the figure of the week. It is Batman Beyond, McFarlane Toys. And yeah, I definitely recommend you pick this guy up. You can get him at Big Bad Toy Store for $19.99, or you can go to Target, Walmart. He's everywhere. So again, if you definitely love this version of Batman, I recommend. And that was Figure of the Week. So going back to some music, that's all the time I have for you guys today. Thank you for tuning in. It's Figures and Funk with DJ Aurelius, and I'm going to leave you with this. Lovely Day by Bill Withers.